Shut up.
Oh, no way. Oh my God. No way. Oh my God.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 146 of the Serial Chillers podcast. Chiller Chatter number 7. It feels like we've done more of these than 7. I'm just going to say it. Not in a bad way.
It's because there's so much fun.
I like that. I that's a good way to look at it. Well, I'm Cromulent Jesse, and as always, I ask, how goes it? Hella, Greg.
Good, man.
Good, man.
Good. Yeah.
It hasn't good. Greg and I got to catch up a little before we started. We've been laughing pretty hard. Like we went straight from like crying, laughing to recording. So we're recovering a little, but it's okay.
We also haven't been sitting here for half an hour doing this.
45 minutes. We for sure jumped in at 8:45. So we've definitely been sitting here for 45 minutes. But that is why we know to give ourselves the time.
That's why these are so much fun too.
Yeah, exactly. So long story short, guys, follow us on everything. Check it all out. serialchillerpod.com. I don't care too much to dive that deep into it tonight. We've been having too much fun to talk business. You guys know where to find us. If you're starting on this episode, I guess it'll be a little hard to find us, but check out one of the other ones and it'll let you know.
If you're starting on this episode, listen to one of the longer ones after this.
Yeah.
And to get all the information.
We're gonna speed run this bitch. Greg brought an article tonight. We're gonna lead off with that. I have a little something. It's basically an article, but in my own words, which kind of it's like it's in the same vein as the Malice at the Palace. It's something along those lines. Less of a brawl, more of a.
I was gonna say, was it the brawl in the hall?
Well, I'm not gonna say I bet you haven't heard of it. You have a pretty rich knowledge of the world of pop and sports culture. So you'll find out when you get there. You start it, buddy. You start it. We'll get there when we get there.
I'm excited for yours, and I'm kind of bored by mine. I brought an art. I don't even want to do it now. I just want to hear yours.
Let's do it. You want me to go?
No, I'm just messing around. I want to do this. Get it over with. I get the anxiety of waiting to go would be worse, I think. I brought an article about star children and starseed children and special kids. So for all you children and former children who are like, there's something special about me, fucking pay attention.
There might just be.
Yeah, like I used to say weird shit when I was a little kid, apparently, like according to my mom. She said like I used to like talk about when I was older I did this and I did that, and how like I would have knowledge of things that like a small child shouldn't have knowledge of. But also, like, I'm a moron. I could have just been guessing at shit. Who knows?
You were but also too, I had HBO in my room.
Yeah, fuck, dude. I wish. That'd have been sick. So this is an article from ariellaindigo.com/starseeds. This is a nice looking website with like a nice looking article on it. It's not black wall with green text with like
it doesn't look like HTML you made it in 1998.
Yeah, like this looks professional and well put together. If you have questions too, I watched a couple of things about some starseed children, so feel free to like ask some questions as we go if you have any. And I'll answer what I can.
About questions, be sure to ask questions.
These won't be for any points, but So, starseed children or star seeds is the overall term used to describe indigo, crystal, and rainbow children and adults. The awareness of these types of children and adults have been well known through metaphysical circles since the 1970s when Lee Carroll, who channels Chiron, first told the world about them. Indigo was the term originally used back then and is still widely used by many today. There's quite a big difference, however, between the three most well known categories of star children: indigo, crystals, and rainbows. For further information on each category and to assist with finding out if you could be a star child yourself, please read on. So there are ways to tell like if you are a star child or not.
So it's like a
Um,
thing you don't innately know. Like you need to like
you
discover it within yourself.
chances are you probably know. You know what I mean?
Your
Like it,
abilities are so special.
so um so it says star children are here to bring peace, topple corrupt systems, and shift dimensional consciousness. We are here to assist in the rebirth of a higher dimensional world. We possess many special and unusual, sometimes supernatural traits or abilities which assist us in our personal and shared global missions. Since the awareness of star children exploded in the metaphysical scene in the 70s, many top ranking professionals in all different kinds of disciplines, scientists, psychotherapists, doctors of science, clinical biologists, psychic channelers, to name a few, have backed up the idea that these children exist. China are taking the subject so seriously due to the evidence of some of the seriously supernatural abilities which are evident in some children born in their culture that they are funding a research project to figure out or to try and find out where these incredible abilities come from. In addition to the metaphysical New Age interpretation of star children, other open minded scientific research groups concerning extraterrestrials also back up the notion that star children exist. So there's like a lot of reasons that star children might exist.
I know that this my brain does this a lot, but
Yeah, yeah.
Stephen King kind of writes about like special children a lot. So like in Firestarter, there's a girl who's like pyrokinetic,
Hmm.
and then like the government's like, "Yo, we gotta have that," and so they like go, like it's like a chase story. Like she and her dad go on the run. And there's a more recent story called the Institute, where this government institute is like collecting special children and like killing their parents and like bringing like it's a very like the way that you're describing these kids now is the way that like the kids are describing them. They're like sort of like these hidden things that they're sort of discovering as they grow.
Yeah, and Stephen King has a tendency to do that, I've noticed, where he'll take something um that already has somewhat of a lore to it, but maybe doesn't have all the background information filled in, and he fills it in and gives you a complete story and then builds a whole world around it, obviously.
Right.
But like what did we just talk about when we did the on the last game show that we just did? It was Philadelphia Experiment and Montauk Project, and it was, excuse me, it was kids with special abilities and stuff like that that were able to like Stranger Things and MK Ultra and the Montauk Boys that we talked about. So like some of that stuff is like
The Montauk Boys.
so like kids have always been like um I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it other than like you know how like what I said when I used to say, "Oh, when I was older, blah blah blah." Like kids, I'm sure your kids have said weird shit like that too. Like,
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna make a joke when you said that your mom said. I was like, that's so sweet that she didn't just tell you that you were dumb, that what you were
yeah.
saying was special.
Yeah.
like
Well, she
be-
didn't, but like I asked about it later once I learned about indigo children and was like, "Hey, like have you ever heard of this? This is like a big thing." And she was like, "No, but it's funny that you mentioned that cuz you used to say weird shit like that all the time." And I'm like, "Whoa, but I'm not an indigo child. I'm far too lazy to be one." Um and it'll make sense later, but once I start describing this, there's going to be a few people that you're like, "Oh, like I bet I know a couple people like that," which
okay.
is so
I'm already kind of like thinking that like
yeah.
just those people that just like. Nah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So
So,
the UFO research groups have also doubled down on the fact that indigo children or star children exist. These groups completely support the metaphysical view that what star children are here to, or that star children are here to do good things. but they suggest the star children are in fact human/alien hybrids themselves, originating from different planets other than Earth. The Pleiades and Sirius appear to be two popular solar systems that large portion of these individuals claim to be originating from. The scientific research groups, which again include many top-ranking professionals, claim that the star children have been put on Earth to act as a bridge between humans and ETs to open up the channel for trade and communication between our planets and other beings in the galaxy. Thousands of people have come forward to these research groups to report visitations from ETs, conscious memories of being on board craft, and many have been given special gifts from these ETs, which are helping to heal our planet and raise the collective vibration for all of us. So, again, they're put here to do great things. They won't stand for injustice. They're um, altruistic, very altruistic people, quote unquote people. Um,
Oh.
So there's a lot of discussion surrounding the ideas of what a star child is. If you're reading this or have any interest in the world's collective evolution, then you probably are. Titles or categories of star people hold a different meaning to each person. To me, these essentially mean your purpose in life is to help break down the existing paradigms to really start to shift into our next stages of evolution. Everyone has bits and pieces of the traits that come with being a star person. It's how you act out your intentions that would make you resonate more with a specific category. Indigo children are called so because the aura that they emit was like an indigo blue, and it
Just a nice easy way
so
to name
like
it.
yeah like you know what auras are, the energy that like
Yeah,
surrounds
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
person. So I was convinced for a while, probably 15 years ago, that I could see people's auras, because like I would see
Maybe you
people and
could.
I would see people and I would just get like a vibe, like a color from them. And I never looked into it. I never knew what any of it meant. But like a couple people that I knew that were into like metaphysical stuff back then, I asked them and they'd be like, "Yeah, that's right. Like, this is that's what this is. That's what you're experiencing." And I'm like, "Oh, groovy." And like never pursued it. So like I and it doesn't happen to me much anymore, but like sometimes I'll see somebody and I'm just like, you give me like yellow vibes, or like whatever.
So it's not like necessarily you see an aura as much as you like feel an aura.
Right, but it feels like a color, like a touch of synesthesia.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying I have synesthesia because like I
Purple
don't know,
tastes like doors.
Thursday tastes like Thursday. Um, but yes, indigos are the creators of the path for the new world. They are generally born with a warrior spirit, with a collective purpose to try to stop the old systems that no longer serve us. This can be seen as a bit bratty as a child and can come into the world with an I deserve to be here mentality. They're here to recreate the fundamental ideas of government, education, and our legal systems that lack integrity. To accomplish this, they generally have determination, fiery determination, and sometimes a bit of a temper. Indigos know when they're being lied to, patronized, or manipulated. And since their purpose is to usher in a new world of integrity, the Indigos' inner lie detectors are crucial. A lot of Indigos end up being diagnosed with ADHD as they're quite sensitive and literally exist at a higher, more fast paced level. So it's not that they have ADHD, it's that their brain's working in overtime, taking in all this information, and it presents as ADHD. So they get diagnosed with that at a young age because they're dealing with such a sensory processing thing. You know what I mean? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, 100%.
What are you watching?
I'm watching you. I moved some screens over.
Oh, I thought I heard like music or something.
Oh, my fans went whirring just now in my
Oh,
computer.
um,
Don't worry, baby. You're my only focus right now.
that's right. Um, this is what private
Oh,
chats
Greg's
consist
telling a
of.
story.
Once
Let me
again,
throw a movie on real quick.
I mean, I was like, I thought you were looking up something about indigo children. Um, but yeah, like
Let me
they,
actually go learn something real quick.
yeah, let me get the right information and confront him. That'd be so good. Um, so one of the things that I saw about indigo children is that they were the first wave, and they started appearing shortly after World War II, which again would be in line with some of the first
Indigo
UFO
children are
sightings.
boomers?
They no. Some indigo children are boomers, but they started appearing shortly after World War II, which is kind of in line with the whole first UFO sightings and stuff like that. But they were like considered scouts, and I don't really like that term, but scouts. And like they sent a few indigo children to be on the planet and figure stuff out and see if it was worth it. And then they send a few more and a few more and a few more. And eventually in the late 70s and 80s, there was a big boom of indigo children. And all of a sudden there's children who are sensitive to um the metaphysical. They're sensitive to extrasensory perception, um multiple dimensions, telekinesis, and psychic activity, stuff like that. So and like I said, this is like the mid 70s all the way up and through like the 90s. So if you're born in that
That is the
window,
entire time Stephen King was writing about. Maybe he is one.
maybe his kid is.
Oh, Joe Hill.
Yeah, maybe
My
he's an
favorite part
indigo
is that
child.
he went by Joe Hill, so no one would know that like he was Stephen King's son, I guess. But he looks
See,
just like exactly
but
like Stephen King.
is that not like a total integrity move to not be like a nepo baby and to like make your own path and to like
100%, 100%.
so
I I'm with it. I'm with it. It's
yeah.
just that like literally he looks like his dad
Yeah,
30 years ago. Like whatever Stephen King looks like now, that's just what
it makes me
Joe
think
Hill's
of
gonna look like in 30 years.
that article. LeBron James Jr. is not going to wear number 23 because he doesn't want people to know who his dad is. And then now starting number 9, LeBron James Jr. Hey, yo, who his dad is? Like,
uh,
um, So, in addition to indigo children, there's crystal children. Crystal children are the contrast to the indigos. After the new ways of life have been established, the crystals come in to act in harmony with the world. They're more blissful and even tempered than the indigos, and they set the example for the masses to see how we can act in cooperation with one another. The crystal children follow a clear path into a safer and more secure world and hold an innate spiritual gifts that can be easily misunderstood. The more advanced the children are, the more they struggle on this dimensional plane. A lot of people diagnosed with severe autism are crystal children. They're operating at a much higher frequency that doesn't require verbal communication, so we assume they're just autistic or misunderstood. Many of the crystal children have delayed speech patterns, and it's not uncommon for them to wait until they're 3 or 4 years old to begin speaking. What's really happening is much deeper. They're incredibly intuitive and communicate on a level that can only be reached when we're in alignment with ourselves. One of the things I saw that was really cool was there was a child in the 80s who was they thought he was believed to be an indigo child, and like as he got older, but they said he spoke his first words at 2 weeks old or at 2 months old.
Goddamn.
Yeah, like how
Because two
crazy is
years, I
that?
think, is pretty standard for
Yeah,
kids to start like talking and really like starting to like get to it and through it.
2 months he was speaking complete words, and like
Wow.
he went on to give scientific lectures and stuff like that. So and then there's also
And his
rainbow.
name was Doogie Howser.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, no, so the crystal children, they're called that. Again, it's because of their aura, but their aura is not this one's a little more complicated. It's called crystal because it's in a color spectrum that we can't see on this plane. Does that make sense?
Whoa,
Like
buddy.
if you're sensitive to it, what you'll see is like pastels,
Don't tell me
and
what I can see.
like just super light pastels will be the aura that you get from them. But if you were on the next dimensional plane, what you would see would be like vibrant colors that we can't see on this plane. And it had a name. I can't remember what it was, but it was something like it was like orangeanine or something like that. But it wasn't like a color I'd ever heard of.
It was like, here's your pathetic human vision can see, stupid
Yo,
idiots.
which made me wonder, can what's the little pistol shrimp? You know what I'm talking about? The
Yes,
mantis
a
shrimp. Mantis shrimp.
mantis shrimp. Yes.
Yeah, can they see it? Because we've got 5 cones in our eyes. Dogs have 3. That's why they're colorblind. We have 5, so we can see all that. Mantis shrimp have like 12 or 15 cones in their eyes, so they can see like ultraviolet light and stuff. But I wonder if they can see like aura, little ocean bugs.
I
But the reason
actually
they're called,
follow a guy on Instagram who literally like his whole shtick is he's got the peacock mantis shrimp,
I think I've
and
seen him, and he like
they're
feeds it
they're
and like
cool as
makes it come out
hell.
and punch stuff, and
Yep,
yeah,
100%. You've seen him because of me, probably.
shows up on my feed because of you. Um,
Well,
but yeah,
I
they're
mean,
called
thanks for all
crystal
the hockey
children.
stuff.
My pleasure. Um, they're called crystal children because their aura, like again, to us, can't see it. It just looks like a distortion. Like when you're looking through heat, how it like just looks like the air's wavy.
Yeah, sure.
That's
That's
what
like a mirage.
kind of, yeah. So that's what their aura gives off when you can't see the colors. It's like that, but if you can see them, they're like lightly colored pastels. And then on the next plane, they're bright colors that you can see. And then there's rainbow children, and they're the highest example of our true potential. They're the embodiment of true divinity. They're about service to others as giving is their chosen path. In that way, they're at the height of their spiritual peak because of their duties to help. They're fearless and have no trouble expressing their emotions. They're able to generally recover from the state of negative emotions quickly. Out of all the types, the rainbow children are supposedly quite rare. There's not as much information on them because they're still being born, and while they show their abilities to the world when it needs it most. The purpose of Rainbow Children is to complete the final stages of the foundation that the Indigo and Crystal Children have made. In the end, anyone who wants to exist in the alignment with the Earth is a star child. While we all share traits of each type of child, but how we act our intentions is what defines us. Essentially, the Indigo Children are here to break down the paradigm of traditional thinking. The Crystal Children are there to rebuild the foundation on the broken paradigm. And when the Rainbow Children continue to build on what the Indigo and Crystal Children have began, eventually transcending our paradigms to create entirely new ways of existing. And then I have 18 signs that you may be a starseed child. So I'll give you those.
All right.
Tell me if any of these sound like anybody you know. I mean, I'm not thinking of anybody in particular. Just like you've got kids. Think about your kids too. Like, does this
Nah, my kids are
apply to?
assholes.
Well, so a constant feeling of not fitting in, being teased from an early age, or never quite feeling like you fit in. A longing to fly or do a lot of traveling, having that feeling that you want to go home, changing your outward appearance, changing your hair color, style, or style of clothing, uh, while using it to try and figure out who you are. Dreams or encounters with extraterrestrials, feelings of encounters with extraterrestrials, love of science fiction television shows, and the spiritual and unusual. Actual love of science and spirituality as it is one, believing that science and spirituality can coexist. Abhor violence of any kind, whether movies, television, world events, or personal events. You're a natural healer and channeler. You love to help people and animals and will go out of your way to do so. You're often working as a psychic or healer. Though you're helpful and sweet, you have a cool exterior. You're very guarded of who you let into your close circle. Fascination with certain star systems or planets. Social awkwardness, putting your foot in your mouth, awkwardly feeling like the conversation is over, but not sure how to continue. You only love to have the latest gadgets and technology, but also learn how to use them quite easily. You're a quick learner. You have a fascination with ancient pyramids, temples, and ruins. You're a bit aloof and ungrounded. You tend to live your life daydreaming. It's hard for you to focus on mundane tasks. You're a workaholic. Even on your days off, you're still working. You believe that angels are actually visitors from other worlds. You have a strong sense of claircognizance, or knowing what things are going to happen before they happen, and you feel like information is continuously being channeled through you. And last but not least, you love to learn as much as you love to teach. So if those apply to you, like the more that they apply, the
The more the
the
better.
the right, I think the higher score you get out of 18 there, the more you're more likely you are to be an indigo child. But again, like we've talked about in the past, the CIA said, "Hey man, this shit exists." And like everybody can be sensitive to it, but there are people who are born more sensitive to it. And I feel like that's basically what this says, is that hey, these are the people who are born more sensitive to it. And you just have to like channel it and practice and work it out like a muscle, and eventually you'll be able to unlock that chakra, because like the rainbow children, like the thing I was watching says that they're capable of getting to the 13th like dimension, which would be like oneness with the universe, not just like one with the self, or not just
Yikes.
not one with the planet, like one with the universe. That's like a level of, that's just like way up there, and that's like the ultimate potential of people apparently. So I think that's cool. I think it's neat that that could be a thing that exists. And yeah, I think indigo children are kind of cool. I don't really care for kids, but
But like, if I'm
and
gonna have a kid, give me an indigo one.
no, God, no, I don't want them like knowing what I'm thinking. That's fucked up.
Just looking at you all creepy. Hello,
Yeah,
father.
yeah. Like I've seen Omen. I don't want kids.
You're like,
I
actually,
just
no. I've seen Children of the Corn.
Yeah, but if I'm gonna like babysit one or something, I'd be like, your mom said I can't teach you any swear words, but I can think them and their definition. You know what I
You
mean?
stay out of my mind between 4 and 6. That's
Willie's
hella
time.
Greg's time. All right. Indigo children, man. Indigo
Indigo
children.
children.
Okay, buddy.
Gotta lubricate.
Let me wet the old whistle here. So, this, like I said, it's kind of in line with Malice at the Palace in that it takes place at a sporting event. It's not a brawl between two teams.
No.
This is what is known as Disco Demolition Night.
Yes.
Does it sound familiar? Are you familiar?
Yes.
You are?
Bro, fucking 4 days ago I said disco sucks.
So
And
this
disco,
was
disco doesn't even suck. I just know it was spray painted on a flag, bro.
this was Jim recommended this in the
Yeah.
the Discord, and I was like looking for good stories for Chiller Chatters, and that's exactly what the Discord is for. And thank you, Jim. Again, I think it's like the 5th time Jim's helped me out with a story, so appreciate that. But yeah, okay. So Disco Demolition Night. Give you a quick breakdown of that night and the fallout and the goings-ons around it. In the 1940s, Bill Veeck, the owner of the Chicago White Sox, became known for his innovative promotions to attract fans. He was like the original, like,
He was the original Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
He was a
we're
showman.
gonna do this, or like first 500 fans get one of these fucking things or whatever.
You get a toy baseball helmet filled with nacho cheese to dip your hot dogs in because it's Chicago.
Right. Well, his whole deal was like he believed that even a losing team could draw a crowd if there was some entertainment involved. Like, hey, look, fucking baseball's great. It's America's pastime. Watching your team win is awesome. But watching your team lose and then being like entertained between innings is still a thing, you know? You come out and say, I would do it for cheap. His son, Mike Veeck, would carry on this tradition as the promotions director for the White Sox in 1979. In a letter to a fan base before the season, Mike assured them that regardless of the team's performance, the fans would have a great time. During the 1979 season, a game between the White Sox and the Tigers was rained out and rescheduled as part of what they called a Twilight doubleheader on July 12th. I like that. Twilight.
Yeah, that's clever. Good marketing. Good marketing.
Yeah. Got MLB. Thanks. Coincidentally, this was also the night of a promotion aimed at teenagers who could purchase tickets for the game at half price. The idea for a quote-unquote disco demolition night came about after Mike Veeck and a WLUP sales manager, Jeff Schwartz, discovered the possibility of an anti-disco promotion.
Is WLUP like a local radio station?
Yes. Yeah, Chicago radio station. Yep. The plan was inspired by radio host Steve Dahl's intention to blow up a crate of disco records live on air. Nothing like a good explosion on radio.
Right. But that's where we got the sound bumper for every shock jock for the next 25 years. Turn it up, rip the knob off.
Steve Dahl blowing up the disco. One toilet flush. During a meeting at WLUP, Steve Dahl was asked if he would be interested in blowing up those records at Comiskey Park on July 12th at the game instead. To tie in with WLUP's radio frequency of 97.9, the promotion offered admission for 98 cents to anyone who brought a disco record to the ballpark. Steve Dahl would
That's
then blow up,
genius.
right? Steve
I
Dahl would
love
then
it.
blow up the collected records between the doubleheader games. In the weeks leading up to the event, Steve Dahl extended an invitation to his listeners, urging them to bring their records to Comiskey Park for destruction. He was worried that promotion would flop and he would face embarrassment because the previous night's attendance for the game was 15,520, which sounds impressive until you realize that Comiskey Park had a capacity of 44,492, and Steve Dahl was quite concerned about the turnout. This is at a time when the Chicago White Sox were not a very good baseball team, but
This is before Frank Thomas came in and turned the franchise around.
yeah, about 10 years before it. Yeah, so but listen, like what it's like you said, if you heard, hey, bring a shitty disco record, whether you hate disco or not, hey, a 98-cent baseball game, even in 79, that's like a
Bro,
$10 ticket. I'm
if they're
in.
like they're like, hey, bring a disco record and get it exploded on the radio. Yeah, I'm doing that anyway. And then they're like, oh, you get a ticket to a baseball game, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I could fuck off a twilight afternoon. Like I'd go to a baseball game to watch a bunch
Man,
of
I'm all
players.
wrapped up in the marketing.
Yeah, man. Like I could go to a baseball game if it meant watching a crate of records get demolished. I mean, it could be records I liked. I would still. I mean, I say that in the digital age, but like, yeah, like I'd
No,
watch
I
somebody
get it.
blow up a crate of CDs.
I brought someone to blow up a crate of MP3s.
Yeah, like what if somebody brought out like an industrial grade microwave and was like, "Yo, bring your CDs and we're gonna just fucking microwave all these CDs."
I'd be like, no, the only CDs I have left are ones that were like road trip mixes in my car that I couldn't bear to throw away when I threw everything else away.
I don't know, dude. I found Garth Brooks' greatest hits earlier.
Dang, boy. Okay, so he was worried. Steve Dahl is like, fuck, man, I want to do this big thing that I was going to do live on air, but now I'm going to do it at the game. I was hoping to get kind of the play from the radio, but this should bring a lot to the radio. So, all week he's talking about, you guys got to turn out. Everybody's got to turn out. You got to turn out. The White Sox at this time are 6 games below 500, 40-46. So that's about halfway through the baseball season. If you know baseball, that's not that bad. There's plenty of time and 500 teams have chances to make the playoffs a lot of the time too. Anyway, it's not a very terrible team, but it's not a great team. 40-46. The going into that doubleheader, that's their record though, 40-46. The target was to attract about 20,000 attendees, so 5,000 more than the night before. Mike Veek anticipated a larger crowd and hired enough security for the night for 35,000, so nearly a packed house. Bill Veek, the owner, was so worried about the potential disaster that he left the hospital where he was undergoing tests for some health concerns to attend the game. He was like, I got to be there. I'm, be in control at least. If shit gets out of control, I'll be there.
I just left the hospital because I'm in great tip-top physical shape, enough to control a crowd of 35,000 people that my security guards can't control.
Sadly, the number would rise. His fears were confirmed when he saw the crowd as he approached the ballpark, with many carrying signs that expressed their disdain for disco music, as Greg spoke about before. The doubleheader ended up being sold out, leaving over 20,000 people outside the stadium. Some resorted to jumping the turnstiles, climbing fences, and even entering through windows in the offices attached to the stadium. The official attendance reported was 47,795, but Bill Veek believed that there were somewhere between 50 and 55,000 people in the park that night, making it the largest crowd during his tenure as the White Sox owner. So he believed that they were 8,000 over capacity that night.
Just standing room only, elbows and assholes. I mean,
that's got to be. Well, I mean, it's like, okay, so think about when you're leaving the game. Yeah, the
Yeah.
concourse and the halls are full, but then the stands are empty. And then vice versa. When the stands are full, it's like, it's sparse down there. You can get through while the game's happening, if it's not
Yeah.
halftime or whatever. This is probably just like concourse full, halls full, stadium full. Just that gives me
Yeah.
anxiety. Think just even
And
saying that right now.
but do you also, so like you said, it was the highest crowd in his tenure as the owner or GM or whatever.
Mhm.
So do you think he maybe inflated the numbers post event? Like once it was all hashed out and everything was
I
all
mean, he
settled, he was
doesn't
like,
get anything
actually,
for it.
but you get the notoriety, you get the cred,
Sure.
you get the street cred.
I think he's more like admitting that he was wrong. Like, fuck, I hired 35,000, enough security for 35,000, and 55,000 made it into the ballpark that night, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
But also, like, who better to look out upon a crowd at your stadium where 81 times a year for however long you've owned that game, they said tonight's attendance here at the game 37,295, and or whatever, you've been to a ballpark and heard it. Like,
Yeah.
he's seen it more than anybody, so to look down and go, yeah, this is a lot more than that. But who the fuck knows? You're absolutely correct. He could have been like, there were certainly 125,000 there that evening.
Well,
They were
I
like,
think
bring it
it's more
down, bring
like
it down, bring it down, Bill, bring it down. He's like, oh, I'm 55,000. Yeah. That's a lot more believable. Go for that.
I think it might have been just, to grow the legend a little bit afterwards. Like the fish was this big. Like
His name was
it just
Homer.
yeah. 6 foot tall if he was an inch. Shock of hair, red as the devil's dick.
Oh, now we're just mixing the lines, huh?
Mouth, but make them references.
So anyway, yeah, he claims 50 to 55,000, his largest attendance in his tenure. Chicago Police Department had to close off ramps from the Dan Ryan Expressway near the stadium due to cars just being stuck on it, basically, due to how many people were stuck outside the stadium. Attendees were supposed to deposit their records into a large box, but once it overflowed, many people brought their discs right to their seat. The first game was scheduled to kick off at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and followed by the second game. Lorelei, a popular model known for her provocative poses, quote unquote, in WLUP's advertisements, had the honor of throwing the first pitch. However, chaos ensued as thousands of people tried to enter the park without tickets. Mike Veek, in a bid to maintain order, dispatched his security personnel to the stadium gates. Unfortunately, this left the field nearly unattended, and fans took full advantage of the situation by hurling disco LPs and singles from the stands onto the field. The records flew through
Fucking
the
love it.
air, sticking into the ground. Basically, like, think of just thump, 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 a bunch of record
Yeah.
comets just striking the surface of the earth. And that nice, lush outfield grass is just all, ow, ow. It says that records flew through the air, sticking out of the ground. Tigers designated hitter Rusty Staub, alarmed by the flying objects, urged his teammates to wear batting helmets for protection, even when just standing on the field. The situation escalated further as attendees began throwing firecrackers, empty liquor bottles, and lighters onto the field. The game had to be halted
Well,
multiple times due to this rain of foreign objects. Meanwhile, the
I support
ballpark
it.
seating dude, the craziest part is, okay, so this is the first game. This is the first
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, they
We haven't
saved the
even
bag
got
of batteries for the second game.
we haven't even got to Disco Demolition yet. So, um, firecrackers, empty liquor bottles, lighters. The ballpark seating decks were adorned with hand-painted banners expressing the sentiment that disco sucks. White Sox broadcaster at the time, Harry Carey, observed music fans roaming the stands. while others eagerly awaited the impending chaos. Harry Carey said, quote, "The smell of marijuana wafted through the grandstand." This led Mike
Groovy.
Veek to remark that it was the Woodstock they never wanted. Even the press box was not spared from the odor, as Carey and his broadcast partner, Jim Pearsall, commented on it during the live broadcast. Outside the stadium, the crowds joined the frenzy by throwing records of gathering them for bonfires. Yes, Harry Carey commenting on the weed. Let's hear it, Greg.
Dude, I just love the thought of Harry Carey with a contact high.
Just being like,
I love
it's getting a little funny in here tonight. Let me ask you
yeah,
something.
they're throwing wet records made of wax. You know what else has wax? Baby Bell cheese.
Do you ever eat the wax?
Sometimes I like to take it and make a ball. I wonder if I could press it into a record. How many Baby Bell cheese wheels do you think it would take to make a record? Are you hungry? I could go for an ice cold Budweiser right about now. I'm just like the thought of Harry
Maybe
Carey
some
just
of that
ripping
moon cheese.
yeah. Like I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
Harry Carey
I feel
not stoked about the weed in the audience. Neither was Mike Veek. Again, outside the stadium, the crowds joined the frenzy by throwing records or gathering them to create bonfires. The initial match concluded precisely at 8:15 p.m. with Detroit emerging victorious by a score of 4-1. So the White Sox lost. They're now 40-47. At
That's a tough crowd to
8:40,
lose in front of.
yes, at 8:40, Steve Dahl, donning army fatigues and a helmet, made a grand entrance onto the field alongside one of the event coordinators and Lorelei. They embarked on a quote-unquote thrilling Jeep ride around the stadium while Steve Dahl's troops showered them in a loving manner, according to Steve Dahl, with firecrackers and beer. He drove around the stadium. They threw beer and firecrackers, and he's like, "They love me. They love
I mean,
me."
so
You got to
I
appreciate the
know
confidence.
I know some people who work in radio at like as that at that position as the guy who does shit like that. And
Uh-huh.
I could see, especially in the 70s, I could see that being a thing where they're like, yes, my people love me because like yeah, I mean, did you ever watch WKRP in Cincinnati? There was like a
I've
DJ
seen
there.
clips. I didn't really watch it.
There's a like their rock DJ or whatever. He like his whole deal was I don't know. Anytime they portray like a radio DJ like that, that's the same kind of devil may care attitude that they have and stuff. And so I could definitely see that as a thing for
You
like a
see Steve
70s
Dahl doing
DJ.
the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's cruising the stadium in the Jeep, out in the outfield. He and the event coordinator take charge. They start pumping the crowd up, leading everyone into a chant. What do you think they chanted? Just off the top of your head.
Staying alive. Staying alive.
They chanted, "Disco sucks. Disco sucks." All
And it does.
55,000, all 55,000 of them.
Here's the deal.
Lorelei
I don't even think
vividly
disco sucks that much. I just get swept up in crowd like mayhem. So
you like Marge. You don't win friends with salad. You don't win friends with salad. Mom. Oh shit. Okay. Lorelei vividly remembered the surreal view from center field. Meanwhile, on the pitcher's mound, Ken Kravik of the White Sox, who was slated to start the second game, began his warm-up routine. So he's like, "Oh, this bullshit's happening out there. I can get slinging. I need to get my fucking arm warmed up." Other White Sox players who still were wearing batting helmets because they were afraid of the reigning records from before. They were watching the scene from the dugout, and some fans who felt that things were spiraling out of control and wanted to leave the ballpark encountered difficulties in doing so because, in an attempt to prevent the intruders from gaining entry, security had padlocked all but one gate. So luckily,
Genius.
that's the last we have to mention of it. It was just a pain in the dick for people to get out because they basically had the center one open and everybody had to funnel there. Nobody was like trampled and
Imagine
killed or anything, which is nice. We don't have to report on that. But still, such a terrible idea.
just imagine being at the ballpark with your family. You're like, "Hey, it's a nice day. It's a nice night. Why don't we go out and watch some late night doubleheader baseball? It's only going to cost us a couple bucks." And so you go and you're there with your wife and your kids are indigo children, so they're all sensitive to the world around them, and then a riot starts happening and you're like, oh, we got to get out of here, and you go to the gate closest to your car because you don't want to have to walk through the 20,000 people outside the gates, but you can't get through there. Security's like, nah, sorry, we padlocked it. You're like, please sir, I want to just get out with my family, and they're like, yeah, go around.
And your kid tries to telepathically convince him, but the guy's also an indigo child. And they have a telepathic battle right there at the stadium, unbeknownst to everybody due to what's happening inside. Oh my
Write the
gosh.
movie, write the movie.
So, in an attempt to prevent the entry, yeah, okay. So Steve Dahl is going to ignite the explosives and obliterate the records. Like, things are going as planned. The crowd's chanting "Disco sucks." They got as many records out there as they can. What they didn't plan on was the planned explosion creating a massive hole in the outfield grass.
Yeah.
No. Explode up, stupid. Uh, the security personnel,
I
following
mean,
Mike Beek's instructions, were mostly focused on the gates, again leaving the playing surface vulnerable and unguarded, and in no time. So basically, he sends security out to unlock the padlock gates. Oh shit, get out there! I can't believe we left those locked. And so security rushes out, and 5,000 to 7,000 people storm onto the field, causing Kravik and the rest of the players warming up to abandon the mound and seek refuge in the fortified clubhouse. They basically went and locked themselves away in the clubhouse because they watched 7,000 people flood over the walls,
after they stood
Some
there and
daring
got pelted for half a game with shit.
some daring individuals would even scale to the top of foul poles while others set fire to records or tore up grass in the outfield. The batting cage
Fuck
was
yeah.
reduced to ruins and the bases were uprooted and stolen. Basically, there was like a cavalcade of people just running the bases. Like, hey, if I'm down here, I'm going to do it. Greg, question number
Yeah.
the only.
Yeah.
What future celebrity is said to have been on the field and ran the bases that day? I'm going to give you 4 celebrities who are age appropriate, who would have been in teen or early 20 years. They're all named Mike or Michael. Was it Mike Tyson, Michael Clark Duncan, Mike Myers, or Michael Rappaport?
Damn, Michael Rappaport sounds good, but I don't think he's Chicago. Isn't he Boston based? Mike Myers is Toronto based. Michael Clark Duncan. Who was the first one?
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was New York based, I believe. So I'm
Greg
gonna go
using
Michael Clark
logic and
Duncan.
deductive reasoning to go Michael Clark Duncan. And among the intruders was a 21-year-old aspiring actor named Michael Clark Duncan. Great answer, Greg.
God damn,
250
dude.
points. And you've
I'm
won
fucking
tonight.
good.
Congratulations on your victory in the Serial Killers podcast. You remain undefeated.
Eddie, put that on the list. Make sure that counts as one of my victories.
So Michael Clark Duncan found himself sliding into third base during the chaos, and basically he got tackled and someone stole his silver belt buckle. So he ran down into the dugout and stole a bat as a memento.
Fuck yeah.
Meanwhile, Bill Veek stood near the former home plate, desperately pleading with the crowd to return to their seats. The owner, or the guy who the owner's son, is down on the field going like, "Please get back into your seats." And at that time, there's a blazing bonfire illuminating center field.
Yeah,
Years
where the
later,
fucking
Lorelai
smoldering crater was.
Yeah, years later, Lorelai said she was in the midst of waving to the crowd when she was abruptly seized by two of the bodyguards who accompanied the Jeep. Like, she didn't realize how dangerous it was that there was like 7,000 people who like coming in a wave at her. And she was taken out by like bodyguards for the event. And put into the back of the Jeep, and because of there were so many unruly fans, they were unable to get off of the field immediately. Instead, the Jeep embarked on what they called a thrilling journey out of the stadium and through the surrounding streets, much to the delight of the enthusiastic fans who immediately recognized the vehicle and its occupants. So they got out there where there were 20, like they left the field of 5 to 7,000 people to outside where there were 20,000. They were like, "It's Laura." So due to the unruly fans, basically they had to drive around the streets. They got through the crowd. They were taken back to the front of the stadium and then put into their the suite that they had spent most of the night in. Harry Carey made a futile attempt to restore order using the PA system, but his efforts were basically in vain. Like, come on, man, you're not going to listen to Harry Carey?
Sing,
Then who are you
take me
gonna
out to
listen
the
to?
ball game.
So the flashing scoreboard and the playing of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" went unnoticed by the unruly attendees. You're literally right. He tried to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" to gain control and was not able to.
Problem was he went with a
Instead,
disco version.
dun, 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 dun. Home team, you better win this game. I said home team. Okay. Instead, some of the crowd decided to dance in circles around the burning vinyl shards, completely disregarding any attempts to calm the situation. Steve Dahl offered his assistance to remove rowdy fans, but basically at this point, the Veeks were like, "Dude, Steve, fuck off, please." I'm not even
Done enough.
kidding. Steve was like, seemed bitter about it. At about 9:08 p.m., the Chicago police arrived in riot gear, receiving applause from the remaining actual fans who had remained in the stands.
There's fucking
As soon
11
as
people in the stands. Get them.
as soon as the fans on the field caught sight of the police in riot gear, they quickly scattered. It was like one guy was like, "Scramble!"
Hooty
Just
hoo!
split.
Fucking everybody scrambles.
A total of 39 people were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct, and the number of injuries sustained went different by reports, anywhere from 0 to over 30. Veek
Buddy, that is less than 1% arrest rate.
yeah. Veek expressed his
Like, that is
desire for
terrible.
the teams. Well, you got to think about like every time you see like cops don't. It's not like and this is not talking shit on cops. It's like the way it's trained. It's like they don't like one guy take them down. It's like a 2 to 4 person takedown per person. And I think they were just like, "Fucking don't leave empty-handed. Go, go, go." Takedown, takedown, takedown.
Get as many as you can.
This is a child. I don't care. He's on the field.
There's just one guy standing, one cop by the gates, handing rolls of zip ties to him as a go, 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 go.
I'm doing my part. Okay, so Veek expressed his desire for the teams to continue playing. The second game, once order had been restored by this fucking police in riot gear. However, the field was left in such terrible state that the umpiring crew chief Dave Phillips believed it was still unplayable, even after an hour of debris clearance by the White Sox groundskeepers. So basically, they're clearing debris, and then there was guys like working on patching the grass. Tigers manager
All
Sparky
stand.
Anderson. Yeah. Tigers manager Sparky Anderson refused to let his players take the field due to safety concerns. Phillips contacted American League president Lee McPhail, who, after assessing the conditions, decided to postpone the game to Sunday. Anderson, fucking Sparky, he was Sparky, dude, insisted that the game be forfeited to the Tigers, arguing that according to baseball's rules, a game can only be postponed due to an act of God, and as the home team, the White Sox are responsible for the field conditions. The following day, McPhail ruled in favor of Anderson's argument and forfeited the second game to the Tigers with a score of 9-0. So I guess when you forfeit a game, you get 1 run per inning.
Oh.
Um,
Well, I guess that makes sense if you have to forfeit a game like tied at, 1-1 in the bottom of the ninth or whatever, or in the bottom of the eighth, you have to concede a run.
yeah.
That would make sense. That's clever.
So 9-0.
That seems like a
9-0.
fail-safe. Yeah.
McPhail stated that the White Sox had failed to provide suitable playing conditions, largely upholding Anderson's claims. After the chaos of the event, Steve Dahl kicked off his usual morning broadcast by reading the outraged headlines from local newspapers. So you're exactly right. He's just feeding it. He's like, "Yeah, give me all the hate. I want to taste it."
Yeah, like a 18-year-old Howard Stern's listening to this going, "Oh, that's genius. I should make an entire career like that."
He basically couldn't resist mocking the coverage, declaring, quote, "Honestly, I thought everything was fantastic. Sure, there were a few crazy cohos who went wild and invaded the field. Not the smartest move, little cohos." Tigers manager Sparky Anderson had his own take on the situation, remarking, quote, "Beer and baseball have always gone hand in hand, but those kids were definitely up to more than just beer." Columnist
I could smell the grass in the dugout.
Columnist David Israel from the Chicago Tribune wasn't surprised by the events either, stating, quote, "Put 50,000 teenagers together on a hot summer night with beer and reefer, and something like this was bound to happen."
Sounds sick as fuck, though, if you're a teenager.
Right. Even White Sox pitcher Rich Wordham chimed in saying, quote, "If they had a country and western night, none of this would have gone down." While Bill Veeck faced most of the public backlash for the debacle, my son Mike also suffered the consequences as the front office promoter. Listen, we're from a place where we've seen just like a bunch of drunk dudes who really love country western just fuck a lot of shit up for a lot of people who weren't trying to fuck shit up. So I think for you and I, when we hear a country western night, we're like, stay away, don't go there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
But in
Been to a lot of
1979,
concerts. I've been to a lot of concerts, and country western concerts are by far the most violent I've ever been to.
shit
Far
is
and
rowdy,
away.
my guy.
Dude,
So many
everybody
Coors
there
Lights
thinks they're
drink.
everybody there puts on a pair of cowboy boots and thinks they're fucking John Wayne. And it's just like, you're not.
But they're more like Peter Griffin's version of John Wayne Pilgrim.
Yeah. Or Miriam.
So Mike stuck with the White Sox until late 1980 when he eventually resigned. Shortly after, his father sold the team to Jerry Reinsdorf, and unfortunately, Mike struggled to find another job in baseball and believed he had been blacklisted. He battled alcoholism during his difficult period and even worked in a high life fronton in Florida. So basically, he was working at like a high life gym.
Sick.
He went from like major league to high
He
life.
was like, yo, baseball's dangerous. I should find something safer, like fucking highlight.
Yeah. Reflecting on the incident, Mike Veeck admitted, "The moment the first guy shimmied down the outfield wall, I knew my life was ruined." However, he has since found success as the owner of minor league baseball teams, including the Charleston River Dogs. In fact, in July of 2014, the River Dogs, under Veeck's presidency, held a promotion where they destroyed Justin Bieber, and Miley Cyrus merchandise.
Sick, dude.
As for Steve Dahl, he continues to entertain as a radio personality in Chicago and does a podcast. So Steve
Nice.
Dahl, dude, 1979 was 45 years ago.
Yeah, it's a guy who's staying current with the times. He's doing a podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
only
Good for-
cool and current hip people have podcasts.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So that's the end of my freaking report. That's a Disco Demolition Night. That's
Fuck yeah,
a
dude. I love the
little piece of
picture. There's like
history.
there is video from that night, and I love the video
Yeah.
of the guy storming the field carrying like, it's just like a white flag that says "Disco sucks" in like red or black letters or something, and he's just running on the
Beauty.
field waving the flag like he's in fucking Braveheart.
Fucking beauty.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was fun, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good episode.
Mhm.
Anything else? Anything else you want to throw out there? I think we can do a quick little ending here.
Serialchillerspod.com for everything. It's got all the social medias. Patreon, if you want to support the show, you can give a one-time donation. You can give as little as $1 a month, or you can get more if you give more. Like getting the show early. Call or text 805-666-2513 if you're about that life. And lonelyfanswith2z's.com if you're into getting exploited for money. I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, thanks for doing all that.
Yeah, dude.
Well, hey, that was a Chiller Chatter 7. This was really fun. I'm glad we decided to do this instead of just doing the alternate plan that I had because I was feeling lazy earlier. It's not often. I'll be honest. It's not often that Greg motivates me to not be lazy, but today he did. And
I'm like Homer Simpson. Everybody says I'm a great motivator. They always have to work so much harder when I'm around.
Could you guys be working any harder? Sure, Mr. Simpson. Well, good shit, man. All right, well, thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you next week for a game show episode, and in the meantime, don't talk to strangers.
I like that we had to get the Simpsons